And hello, everyone. It is Tom. It's FANzine Live, and we have a very exciting video ahead. This is the culmination of yet another Phoenix Masters project. It is out. It is available. We're going to talk about it right now. And that is the work of the Hutchinson brothers. The Phoenix Masters project is about getting the folks who are on my, if you will, my Mount Rushmore of cartoonists from my teenage years, the small press comics explosion era, that post-underground new wave era. It's been a blessing to be able to connect with these guys and reintroduce their work to a brand new generation or two. I mean, this is really, really exciting. I'm just so thrilled at this opportunity. Started with Steve Willis. Steve's work is incredible. I spent about a year working on his stuff, trying to remaster from often not very good photocopy reproductions, because that's all he had. This project is a little different. This is Daryl and Joe Hutchinson. Daryl is a rather accomplished graphic designer in his own right, and clearly an accomplished artist as well. He did most all of the remastering work himself, and so he will send me pages, and it's my job then to lay them out, make them fit within Amazon specs or the photocopier specs and the like. I played more of the editor on this project. We're going to start with the smaller book, the Meet the Hutchinsons. This was a book that came out of my experience with Steve and the Collected Cranium Frenzy Reader project. It was the idea of distilling, in his case, 900 pages worth of material down into something that somebody who has no idea who Steve Willis is, to get flavor for who they are and to be able to get enough of an idea that they want to investigate further. So Meet the Hutchinsons is my version of that. And I intentionally chose the name Meet the Hutchinsons for a reason. Daryl and Joe, while being extremely prolific in their work, have not been as active recently. And so there is, I talked about the idea of reaching a new generation or two. There probably is a generation or two who really don't know who the Hutchinsons are at all. And these guys were rock stars for my age. In fact, they did mini comics like you cannot believe. And I have a bunch of them. I mean, their catalog was full. I've got some others here. I mean, it just goes on and on. They have so much stuff, but they just did everything. And their work was crazy. I want to use the term manic. There's just an energy to it, a devil-may-care attitude to it. Joe and Daryl they swung for the fences and with their humor, and it's just wild, crazy stuff. You can kind of get a sense of it even with Daryl's cover here that he did, the two sides of the artwork. Daryl and Joe. And I had a forward by Alan Freeman, and we'll get to that in a second. But opening it up, you get a chance to see for the first time, who are these guys? Daryl and Joe. Now, mind you, Joe wasn't that much older than me back in the mid-'80s. He's still working. Daryl has since retired. Joe is not a Roman centurion. And Daryl is not a Shriner. However, they both got the hats. They both wanted to show them off. It's that type of humor. I love it. So then we get to Alan Freeman. You've got this issue of Slam Bang. Slam Bang is Alan's anthology book. We've actually looked at a few issues of it, and eventually we'll do this issue by itself. But right now I'll just try to explain. They had so much excitement and enthusiasm about their work, and Anthrax Press was the name of Daryl and Joe's label, that Alan basically just handed over issue 5 to him and said, do your thing. Let's have some fun and make this an Anthrax issue. And so I'm trying to figure out, how do I introduce or reintroduce the Hutchinsons to the world? Well, I thought, let's just see if Alan would let us reproduce Slam Bang number 5. And by and large, we did. And we did it in this book. So I offered Alan the foreword, and he wrote a wonderful foreword. Most of it is true. The book itself, I haven't done the technical stuff. The outside cover, I wanted to do in color. This is just my local copy shop. They do a great job, my UPS store. And then they did the rest inside with black and white. It's beautiful photocopying. The blacks are just perfect. The colors, as you can see, are just perfect. It's gorgeous. It is just gorgeous. And I'm thrilled to be able to have that. Alan does his introduction, and it is pretty funny. And then we just get into Slam Bang. This version of Slam Bang is simply a straight up scan of this. Yeah, there's a little bit of degradation, and I don't even recall this. Looks like Daryl got his hands on this and did a little bit of remastering. It looks like things are pretty much the same. Yes, the story is the same, but that is a new little bit right there. I put in here at the bottom, from Slam Bang 5. Alan, again, has given me permission to do this. The story is just hysterical. And then we get into the next one, which is called Monkey Business. Joe Hutchinson, who does the cartoony stuff in the family. Daryl is the graphic designer. Daryl is the fine artist, if you will. Really well known for his Lovecraft. He did an Edgar Allan Poe. Daryl is much more formal in his work. He's not quite as manic. And Joe's manic. Anyway, this one is a good one. It's about the monkey who is out working for tips out on the street, ends up getting thrown in jail and runs into a musician. They end up basically just doing their thing in jail, and they end up making enough money to get out. And then we switch from that to a Daryl piece. That's Daryl Hutchinson's work. And this is 1986. It's just gorgeous. I mean, the pointillism is just incredible. Probably nobody outside of Brad Foster that I know of uses pointillism as well. And then we switch to It's a Groovy World, which is another kind of crazy story. You regularly in Hutchinson work see strange-looking characters running for their life screaming, "Ah!" You get a lot of that, and it's fun. It is crazy. Hopefully you can appreciate the teenage me just was laughing my butt off as I was reading this stuff. It's just hysterical. So then we go to another really nice piece from Daryl. This one's an interesting one because in order to fit everything, I had to shrink it. But look at that. And really, it's a pretty solid reproduction. Another one, Carnivorous Habits. And yeah, we've got a family of carnivores. Joe's line work doesn't have a ton of shading to it. This will come into play. Now, the Carnivorous Habits is not in the big book. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you can see that when you have just straight out line work like this, it leaves lots of room for color. There are a couple pages here, like the health tips from Dr. Caligari's cabinets. The 2-pager there that we shrunk down to 1. There were some letters pages and stuff. We took those out because we wanted to make it about their artwork, because that's what they want to be known about. This is a section that has Daryl working with a gentleman named Michael Roden. The work is just gorgeous. And Daryl said he wanted it in there, so we put it in there. A truly talented artist. Then we get this. Zach's Zombie is a new piece from Joe that he's working on as I speak. And he's going to do the whole thing in a future issue or a future book of Joe's comics. But he did the first chapter, and he hasn't drawn sequential art in years. But this project has inspired him to get back to the drawing board. So he's doing a new one, and he's got a zombie in there. Then we threw in a few spot-illos and the like. Then I put in a page of the Hutchinson brothers in Small Press Comics Explosion. And I found a couple Tim Corrigan reviews, and then I found an advertisement as well. So threw that in. Then we got the UFO checklist. Hey, Collected Cranium Frenzy, as well as some other very nice stuff. And then joescomics.com. And if you click on joescomics.com, what will you get a link to? You'll get a link to Amazon, my friends, because Joe's Comics is here. We started with a just massive batch of old mini comic material. The old mini comics, like I was telling you about. Daryl, who is, again, he's retired and he's spending a lot of time remastering Joe's work, was just sending me stuff hand over fist. And I've got enough probably to do 3, maybe 4 books right now of Joe's work. Then I've got Daryl's work off the side, and we'll probably end up doing something with his work later. But right now, Daryl wants me to focus on Joe. I focus on Joe. We were trying to figure out how were we going to make this work And my editor hat really went on hard with this. And I was looking over all the different things, the mini comics, the stories, the themes, the like. And I was trying to think of what would be the best way to introduce people. The first one I thought was Slam Bang, so we put that in Meet the Hutchinsons. But then I thought that it would be a really good idea to try to get somewhat thematic. Rather than have everything and all sorts of madness in it, I said, why don't we distill down and only do animal stories to start with? And so this is a book of animal stories. And yes, Tim Corrigan did say, I think it's actually right here. Yep. Right there. You will not believe how wild these comics are. So this is, I believe, just under 100 pages, full color. So I'm just going to walk through this book with you. Yes, collecting the animal comics. And actually, Dwayne, their brother, who's kind of like the Mario Hernandez to Los Bros Hernandez, he just does a little bit, not too much. Dwayne has a strip in here as well. But we start with a piece about Joe and a piece about Daryl. And you can see these guys clearly take themselves seriously. And their self-bios are hysterical. I love it. I thought it would be neat to kick it off with a spread of some mini comics. Just give the reader a sense of, okay, where is this stuff coming from? And you can see we've just got a bunch of little mini comics. Then we get to the contents. I broke it out by the different types of animals. We start with our dinosaurs. So here's Rex the Dinosaur Legend. Tell me, as nice as the photocopier is, that it isn't so much better with color. And Daryl did all the color, and he did a wonderful job. He did, it looks like he re-lettered it too, or at least parts of it, not all of it. Those are our dinosaurs. Then we switch over to insects. And there are some really fantastic stories in here, and they are crazy. Daryl had to rejiggle all of these to make it work. He had to take it from that mini comic and turn it into these pages. Hats off to him for figuring out how. So this is the first page. This is the second page. This is the third page. So we go through some spiders. Oh, this is another one here. Yeah, Fortress of Solitude. Crazy looking characters. The cartooning is kind of nuts. This is one where they hung out with a mosquito who kept trying to suck their blood. Here are Dwayne's pieces, the Roachmeisters. Daryl and Joe love putting in fake ads and stuff like that. So we threw in a couple of those. Bugs in the Belfry. And then Insect Terror. Sea Life. Love, love, love the guitar there. My fish told me of the craving. We did this one on FANzine Live before. It's great. Tales of the Giant Octopus. Lobster Loonies. We go into birds. Looney Bird is kind of their signature guy. And I think we even have a second. Yeah, we've got Blackbird and Blues, and then we do another Looney Bird. Then we go to reptiles. Toad's Mowing Service. These guys are great. The colors just turned out so good on this. Reptile Problems. Then we go to mammals. 22 Days to a Trained Dog was a piece that Joe did for Matt Kanarakis' Synapse Showcase. And I had to make sure that we had that one in there. And it's a great story. Grease Monkeys. He loves his monkeys. Bad Bear. Another classic. Lots of crazy cartoon violence. Almost in like an itchy and scratchy type mode. Language can occasionally get a little rough. The humor is a little bit off. And I think Daryl may have done a little bit here because I don't think Patton Oswalt was a thing back in '86. But by and large, we pretty much stayed true to the 1986 work. Morris the Rat. This was an experimental piece that he did. Notice that he changed. This is 1986 though. He changed his art style really radically, but the story is still classic. And then the Darwinian Oddities. Levon is a anthropomorphic type character. He's got a pig head. And so we've got a couple Levon stories in here. And then we just got stuff about Phoenix Masters, FANzine Live, and then close it out with another fake ad. I am so proud and thrilled to be able to share this with everybody. I really hope you get a chance to pick it up. We will have it at Space. I purchased a few issues. We also will have Meet the Hutchinsons at Space. And so you will have the chance to get some good Hutchinson craziness in your cartooning. It is so much fun. I'm just over the moon with how excited I am to be able to share this. If you are interested in getting it right now, this will be available at our Ko-Fi shop. You can get the book for Joe's Comics at joescomics.com. I've got a direct link going to the Amazon. We're going to do more Phoenix Masters remastered reprint work, and we're going to do different other themes. We haven't even touched people. And trust me, with some of the stuff you heard about from Meet the Hutchinsons, yeah, there's a lot of crazy people in Joe and Daryl's world that they want to tell you about. We're going to have a lot of fun telling you those stories going forward. So look for more Joe's Comics, but we're starting with the animals, so come on into the Wild Kingdom. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the Hutchinsons. Have you heard of them? Is this something that you're interested in seeing more of? Are you curious? You going to pick up a copy of Meet the Hutchinsons? You going to grab yourself a Joe's Comics? Love to hear. Like the video, subscribe to FANzine Live, and as always, tell your friends, because we want to let the world know the Hutchinsons are back. They're doing great stuff. Their cartooning is just wonderful. Really glad you joined us today. Thank you so much. I'm Tom. This is FANzine Live, a very, very special Phoenix Spotlight as we take a look at yet another Phoenix Master. I will catch you next time.